Alright there guys, and welcome to the final episode of Real Talk in 2021. Did I get you? Just for that little split second. Did I get you? No? Oh well, I tried. But yeah, this is going to be the last episode of Real Talk for 2021 as I'm running out of ideas for the series again. So, I'm not going to be able to make another episode of this until I have more ideas. But for the final episode of 2021, we're returning to the old favourite. The topic I have covered on this channel every single year since I started making videos on this channel. That is, why mock exams are a waste of time. This year, it's part 5. Specifically, for November the 9th, once again. This date isn't even special. Like, the 9th of November really isn't a special date for me. It just so happens to be the date back in 2017 that I uploaded the very first episode of this little series. So I decided to just keep it as a running theme for this topic. Always upload it on November the 9th every year. Now, I said I probably wasn't going to do another one of these in last year's video, but the system of how exams work changed again, just like it did in 2020. For 2021, it changed again, so that's why we're back here covering it yet again. So, last year, in 2020, the exam system was changed to where mock exams that were done in late 2019, before the pandemic, became the official grades for the students that did them. So that's how a lot of people who probably might not have passed the actual exam actually got a passing grade and passed that exam, so they won't ever have to do it again. Which you could argue that's a bit unfair on people like me, who actually had to do it, pass their exams the hard way, and actually study and then do the actual exam. But it didn't bother me too much because yes, there'll be people that absolutely don't deserve to pass and have. But then on the other hand, there'll be people who do deserve to pass and don't. But yeah, that was 2020's. What's the exam system for this year? Well, there wasn't any. No real exams, no even mock exams for 2021. Yep, students who left high school this year have basically had it the easiest of the past 10 years. Now, I know some of you will think the counter-argument to that is, what about all the school that they missed because of the pandemic? I fully get that. But think about how much stress all the exams put onto someone. All the stress that a student will feel having to do like 16 exams in the space of 24 days or something like that. The students of this year did not have to deal with any of that. They did not have to go through the stress of doing so many exams in the space of just over 3 weeks. They didn't even have to go through the mock exam process, for God's sake. How their grades were determined how well they did in class over the course of the academic year. So what if you're not great, but a teacher really likes you? That's going to give you a slightly better chance at passing, isn't it, than you actually deserve. And then there'll be someone who is just into the passing grade, but because the teacher doesn't like them for some reason, they may not pass, which is also wrong. And really, the main point I wanted to make for this video is how school students nowadays have it so easy. They act so entitled, thinking that what they're putting in so much hard work and like that what they have to go through is so difficult, and that people should feel proud of them for going through it. When in reality, they have it the easiest over the past 10 years. If I'm being honest, they certainly have it easier than what I had it when I was at school. Because there's two things that school students massively benefit from now that we did not have when I was at school. The first one being what I've just mentioned, the fact that there were no mock exams, the fact that they didn't have to go through the stress of doing 16 exams in the space of 24 days. All that stress never entered their mind because they didn't have to do it. And the second thing that show how much easier students have it nowadays than we did when I was at school is mental health. Because mental health in schools nowadays is actually taken seriously. Whereas when I was at school, it wasn't taken seriously. The teachers and heads of year may tell you they're gonna try and help you with it, but then they just never do. And ever since mental health became trendy to talk about, to where people won't shut up about it now, and to where basically just everybody has depression apparently now. I can't be the only one who's noticed that. As soon as mental health gets talked about more, suddenly everybody in the world suddenly has depression, which just blatantly is not true. Some people definitely fake having certain mental health problems for attention. Obviously, the majority of people don't, they just actually have these issues, but some people definitely do not have these issues, but pretend they do because they want the sympathy and attention. So even if the first point of these two wasn't there, and students did have to go through the stress of the exams, the second point still gives them an advantage over what I did, because if they did have a ton of stress, because stress is something that affects you mentally, the school would actually help these people with it, help the students with it. I mean, the way I'm describing it, you'd probably be thinking I'm saying schools shouldn't help people with mental health issues. No, they should. But they should have been doing it a lot earlier than they actually started doing it. So they should have been doing it when I was still in school. But they didn't. And exams have never been more pointless now than ever before. To where you can pass all of your grades in school without having to take a single exam. Because if it was always like that, where your overall grade was more based on your classwork over the course of the year than one or two exam papers on that subject, a lot more people would probably pass their exam, probably pass the subjects and get good grades for it. Because classwork and exams are not similar in any way. Classwork is stuff you do over the course of the year. Exams are where you have to just memorise a bunch of stuff from throughout the year. And as I've said before, when I did my exams at school, some of the things we learned right before the exam, so the things that were the freshest in our mind just before certain exams, were then not on the exam at all. So the things freshest in our minds going into the exam meant nothing. Although I don't know, I can't remember if I mentioned this in any of the previous videos on this topic, but I remember in one of my science exams, there was literally a question about name reasons why someone would like to paint their house. What has that got to do with science? Absolutely nothing. Those were the sorts of questions we were being asked on a GCSE exam paper. Is it any wonder so many of us failed when we were at school? And the exam what are they called? Exam invigilators or whatever they're called, the people that just walk around to make sure you're not cheating. Those people who stand at the very beginning of every exam, they stand at the front of the room and say, "You must now follow the regulations of the examination. You may only use material listed on the question paper. As anything else, any other material will not be marked. If you have any mobile phones, smartwatches or stuff like that, please hand them in now." And probably the most comedic part of those things is when they say, "If there is a fire, please remain seated. Please remain seated, and the staff will let you out in a single file line." Oh, okay, so what if your seat happens to be the thing that, catches fire? Do we just sit there and burn? Is that what you're suggesting? Exactly. But yeah, that's pretty much gonna be it. I just wanted to come on here and have a little bit of a rant about how students act like they have it so hard nowadays at school when they've probably had it the easiest of the last 10 years in terms of what they've actually got to do to pass their exams over what people like me in my years had to do to pass exams. It's significantly different. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, please be sure to leave a like. Subscribe if you're new. And until next time, and until 2022, for real talk, catch you later.